The cold wind howled across the white, endless snow. It was late evening, and the sky above the Arctic Circle was gray and silent. No birds, no animals, only wind and ice. Then, suddenly, a strange sound echoed across the frozen air. It was the sound of a child crying, soft and lonely. Rescue Team Alpha 3 had just landed their snow cruiser near an old weather station. They were sent here to check a distress signal picked up by a satellite. Captain Ray was leading the team, a strong and serious man with sharp eyes. He looked at the snowy hills through his goggles. Then he heard the cry again, louder this time. "Did you hear that?" he asked, his voice calm but alert. The others nodded. Pulling out scanners and flashlights, the sound was coming from the east. Behind a hill covered in thick snow, Ray raised his hand. "Let's move," he said, and the team walked slowly. Through the icy wind, as they climbed the small hill, they saw something strange on the other side. A small figure was sitting in the snow. Not moving, the crying had stopped. The team froze for a moment, unsure what they were seeing. It looked like a child, but not human. The figure was tiny, maybe 3 feet tall. It had light blue skin and wore a silver suit with a glowing bracelet on one arm. Long white hair covered most of its face, and it was shaking from the cold. Captain Ray stepped forward carefully, his hands open to show he meant no harm. "It's okay, we're here to help," he said slowly, even though he knew she wouldn't understand. The little alien girl looked up at them, her eyes full of tears. She whispered one word, soft and broken. "Papa." The team looked at each other in shock. Then behind the girl, they noticed something else, a body half covered in snow. Lying still, they rushed over and their medics scanned the figure. It was another alien, taller and older. His skin was pale blue, and there were deep wounds on his chest. He was dead. The girl didn't look back, but fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. "She's just a kid," whispered one of the team members. "Where did they come from?" Asked another. There were no signs of a ship, no crash, no tracks, just snow and silence. Captain Ray knelt beside the girl. He took off his warm scarf and gently wrapped it around her. She didn't fight him, but she didn't speak again. Her glowing bracelet suddenly blinked 3 times, then turned red for a moment. Everyone stepped back, unsure what it meant. Just then, a strange noise came from the trees nearby. It was a low growl, almost like metal rubbing against metal. The girl grabbed Ray's jacket and looked up in fear. "Something's out there," said Ray, standing quickly. "Back to the cruiser now," he ordered. The team picked up the girl carefully and moved fast through the snow. They didn't run, but they didn't stop either. The wind seemed to get louder, and the strange growl echoed again. Closer this time, Ray looked over his shoulder, but saw only darkness and snowflakes. Still, he felt like something was watching them once inside the snow cruiser. They locked the doors and warmed the girl with heated blankets. The scientist on the team, Dr. Lena, examined the bracelet. "It's alien tech, very advanced. I've never seen anything like it," she said. Suddenly, the bracelet lit up and projected a small hologram in the air. It showed a planet with twin moons, and 2 figures, one adult and one child walking hand in hand. The girl pointed at the adult figure and said, "Papa." Then she placed her small hand on the glass screen of the cruiser. The hologram changed, showing a shadow creature chasing them across snowy land. The team watched in silence. It wasn't just a story, it was a warning. Captain Ray turned to the others. "This isn't over," he said. "Whatever killed her father might still be here." The little girl looked up at him, eyes wide and glowing softly. Then she said something no one expected. In broken English, "It's coming." The lights in the cruiser flickered. Outside, the wind stopped. Then came the sound again, louder than before, a cold, sharp howl that shook the glass. The team stared at each other, frozen in fear. Captain Ray slowly reached for his weapon. "We protect her," he said, "no matter what, outside." Something moved in the snow, silent but deadly. And the cry in the snow had only just begun. The snow cruiser was quiet, too quiet. Outside, the storm had stopped. But inside the ship, everyone could feel something in the air. It was not the cold. It was fear. The kind of fear that sits in your chest and refuses to leave. The little alien girl sat on a bench near the window. Wrapped in a thick blanket, she stared out at the empty white world. Her glowing bracelet blinked slowly. Red, then blue, then red again. She wasn't crying anymore, but her face was still full of sadness. Captain Ray stood beside the scientist, Dr. Lena, watching the strange device on her wrist. He had seen technology before, human and alien, but never something like this. Lena spoke quietly, as if afraid the bracelet might hear her. "There's something inside this device," she said. "It's more than just a tracker. It might be alive." Ray raised an eyebrow. "Alive?" Lena nodded, the energy coming from it. "It changes with her emotions. When she was scared, it turned red. When she calmed down, it turned blue. It's like it feels what she feels." The girl suddenly turned toward them, her eyes glowing softly. She raised her small hand, and the bracelet lit up with golden light. A beam shot from it and formed a hologram in midair. This time, it showed her father, standing tall and proud in a room full of stars. His voice echoed inside the cruiser, though none of them could understand the language. Still, the message felt heavy, urgent, full of warning. The girl watched it closely. Tears in her eyes again. Then the hologram shifted, showing a black shape like smoke, like shadow, with red eyes. It floated above her father and struck him down in a single blow. The crew gasped, the image froze, and then the bracelet turned dark for a moment. "Is that what killed him?" whispered one of the soldiers. The girl nodded slowly, her small voice barely a whisper. "Hunter," she said. "It hunts." Ray took a deep breath and looked at Lena. "Can we talk to it?" "The bracelet?" "I don't think it talks," she replied, "but maybe. Maybe it remembers." She pulled out a scanning device and began to run it near the bracelet. The girl didn't stop her, but her eyes followed every move. The screen on Lena's tablet began to fill with strange symbols and lights. Then, a message appeared in English. "Project Beacon. Do not fall into enemy hands." Ray read it twice, then looked at the girl. "What is Project Beacon?" he asked. The girl didn't answer, but she looked scared again. She grabbed his hand tightly and whispered, "No give. No give them." Lena's eyes went wide. She means someone is coming for it. Maybe not just the shadow, maybe humans. The lights in the cruiser flickered again. Then the door alarm beeped. Something had triggered the outer motion sensors. One of the soldiers ran to the control panel and checked the cameras. "Nothing there," he said, "just snow." But Ray didn't believe that. He remembered the sound they had heard earlier. The cold howl in the wind. He knew something was out there, watching, waiting. The girl stood up, suddenly alert. She looked at the window, then back at the bracelet. It turned bright yellow, then began to spin. A small compartment opened in the device. Revealing a tiny crystal pulsing with light, she held it out to Ray. "Keep safe," she said, "if broken." All lost, he took the crystal carefully and placed it inside a small metal box. "Locking it, we'll protect it," he promised. Then the lights in the ship turned red. A loud warning echoed through the cruiser. Energy surge detected. Unknown signal approaching. The girl grabbed Ray's arm again. "Hunter, come," she whispered. "No safe here, outside." The snow began to move, not just blow in the wind, but move as if something under it was crawling toward the ship. A long dark shape slithered past the window. Too fast to see clearly, the glass fogged instantly. Like something cold and ancient had passed by. Ray turned to the team. "Prepared to move. We can't stay here. Whatever is coming, we're not ready to fight it." He looked at the girl, then at the box with the crystal. "We need to find out what this Project Beacon really is." Lena packed up her tools and grabbed her tablet. The rest of the crew grabbed their gear, weapons ready. The girl followed without needing to be told. She knew this wouldn't be the last time they'd run. As the snow cruiser rolled away into the white storm, no one spoke, but everyone knew. One thing, whatever had killed the girl's father was still out there, and it wasn't finished yet. The fire crackled softly inside the abandoned Arctic outpost. Captain Ray and his team had taken shelter there after the snow cruiser's power failed. The storm had returned, wild and angry, shaking the walls of the old metal structure. It was the only building for miles, left behind by scientists years ago. Now, it was their only chance to survive the night. The alien girl sat near the fire. Her knees pulled to her chest. Her silver bracelet glowed faintly blue, calm but alert. She hadn't said much since they escaped the last location, but she kept glancing at the door, as if waiting for something to appear. Sergeant Cole, the toughest soldier on the team, stood guard at the window. He didn't believe in ghosts or aliens, not until today. Now, after seeing that thing in the snow, even he was quiet. Dr. Lena typed quickly on her device. Scanning the bracelet again. "This is not just a tool," she whispered. "It's a memory bank, a warning system, and something else." Ray leaned over, watching the screen. "What else?" Lena looked at him, her voice low. "I think it's a signal. It's calling for help or calling something here. Before Ray could reply, the bracelet turned red. The girl's eyes widened in fear. Then the fire in the center of the room flickered and died. The room went dark, silent except for the wind howling outside. Then came a sound, metal scraping against metal, slow and sharp. Cole raised his weapon, stepping toward the door. Ray followed, signaling the rest to stay behind cover. The girl grabbed Lena's sleeve, whispering, "Don't open." But it was too late. The old outpost door creaked open by itself. Snow blew in, and with it, something else. A shadow moved just beyond the doorway. Tall and thin, its eyes glowed red, and it made no sound. Then, faster than a blink, it jumped toward Cole. The sergeant fired 3 times. Bullets slicing through the cold air, but they passed right through the creature, like it was made of smoke and ice. The thing slammed into Cole, knocking him across the room. He hit the wall hard and didn't get up. Ray shouted, "Fall back," as the team pulled the girl behind a metal table. Lena tried to reach Cole, but Ray stopped her. "We can't help him now," he said. His voice hard but broken. The creature hovered near the door, looking around like it was searching. Then it made a sharp clicking sound and turned toward the girl. The bracelet turned bright red, almost burning. The girl screamed and held her arm tightly, tears running down her cheeks. Suddenly, the crystal Ray had hidden in the metal box started to glow from his backpack. He pulled it out. The light was pulsing, fast and hot. The creature froze, almost like it could feel the energy. Then it let out a roar, not from a mouth, but from deep inside the walls. The whole outpost shook, and snow fell from the ceiling. "It's the crystal." Lena shouted, "It hurts it." Ray looked at the creature, then at the girl. "If this thing wants the crystal, it's not getting it," he said. He held it up, and the glow became blinding. The creature backed away, its form flickering like a bad signal. Then, in one quick move, it vanished into the storm outside, leaving silence behind. Everyone stayed still for a moment, listening, but the sound was gone. Only the wind remained. Ray placed the crystal back into the box and closed it tight. The girl looked at him and nodded slowly. "You protect," she said softly. Lena checked on Cole. He was alive, but unconscious. his breathing shallow. They wrapped his wounds and moved him closer to the fire. Then they all sat down, tired and quiet. Ray stared at the girl for a moment, then spoke gently. "What is that thing? Why is it chasing you?" The girl looked at the fire, her voice trembling. "It was made to find us, to take back the light. My papa ran. We hid." "But it found us," Lena asked. "The light? The crystal?" The girl nodded. "It is key. To gate, to power. If they get it, they open war." Ray rubbed his forehead, trying to understand. "Who's they?" he asked. The girl looked up, her eyes glowing blue. "My people. My enemies." Both the fire burned low, casting long shadows on the walls. Everyone understood. Now this wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. They were part of something bigger, something dangerous. Outside, the creature watched from the shadows, waiting for night to return. It could smell the crystal. It could hear the heartbeat of the child, and it would not stop until it had what it came for. Inside the outpost, the girl closed her eyes, whispering one last word before sleep. More. Coming, the wind had stopped. For the first time in days, the Arctic sky was clear. Cold stars shining above the frozen land. The rescue team sat quietly inside the outpost. Tired, silent, and full of questions, Captain Ray stood alone by Nin. The window, staring at the horizon, he had a feeling this calm would not last. The little alien girl was sleeping near the fire, her head resting on folded blankets. Her silver bracelet still glowed softly, but it was calm, now blue and steady. Dr. Lena sat beside her, watching the readings on her device. She had scanned the bracelet for hours, trying to understand its language. Now, she was sure there was more inside it. Ray turned around when Lena spoke. "I think I found something," she said. "Not a message, more like a lock. A part of the bracelet is sealed." Ray walked over and knelt beside her. "Can you open it?" Lena looked at the sleeping girl, then back at Ray. "I think only she can," as if she heard them. The girl opened her eyes. She looked at Lena, then at the bracelet, without a word. She touched it with both hands. The glowing light turned gold, and the bracelet clicked softly. Then a beam of light formed above it. A memory began to play. It showed her father, taller, older, dressed in armor with the same bracelet on his wrist. He stood in front of a large gate made of silver stone, floating in the stars. Behind him, spaceships flew past, some burning, some fighting. The sky looked like war. The girl sat up, watching the image closely. She whispered, "Home." Before, Ray and Lena listened carefully as her father began to speak. His voice was calm, full of wisdom and warning, though the words were in her language. The bracelet translated parts of it into English. "If you see this message," he said, "then I am gone. This device holds the last key to the gate. They must not take it. Earth is the final hiding place. Protect my daughter, and protect the light." The image shifted again, showing a map of stars. It zoomed in on Earth, showing the Arctic Circle exactly where they were now. Lena blinked, surprised he brought her here on purpose. Ray nodded slowly. He knew she'd be safe here. Far from their world, the next part of the memory was different. It showed the father building something, a small cube. Glowing just like the crystal Ray carried, he placed it inside the girl's bracelet and locked it with his own handprint. Then he looked directly into the image, as if staring at them. "She is more than my child," he said. "She is the last of our kind. She holds the seed to rebuild what we lost, but if they take her, they will use it for war." The memory ended with a final scene. The father hugging the little girl, holding her close in a snowy forest. Then, a shadow appeared behind him. The same monster, tall and dark, with red eyes. The screen faded too. Black, and the bracelet returned to its normal blue light. No one spoke for a long time. The fire cracked softly. And the wind outside had picked up again. Ray finally stood, his voice steady. So he wasn't just a father, he said, he was a protector. And that crystal in her bracelet, not just a weapon, it's a seed. Something powerful, something alive. Lena looked at the girl, who now sat quietly, staring at the fire. She's the last hope of her people, Lena said. She's a child. But she's also their future. The door creaked suddenly, and everyone reached for their weapons, but it was only Sergeant Cole. Walking slowly with a bandage over his head, I had a dream, he said, his voice shaky. I saw the creature, and I saw him. The father Ray helped him sit down. What did you see? He asked. Cole closed his eyes. The creature is not just hunting the girl. It's looking for the gate, if it finds her. It finds the way back to the stars outside. The storm began again. This time stronger, colder, snow beat. Against the windows like claws, the girl stood up slowly and walked to the window. She placed her hand on the glass and whispered something in her language. The bracelet turned yellow, then red. Lena checked the scanner. There's something. Nearby, she said, energy spike. Ray tightened his jacket and grabbed the metal box with the crystal. They found us again, he said. We have to move before it's too late. The girl turned to them, her voice calm but full of fear. No more run, she said. We find gate. If hide always, it finds. Ray looked at her, surprised. She was no longer just a scared child. She had made her choice. She's right, he said. It's time we stop running. Lena nodded, checking her map. The signal from the hologram shows a location 30 miles south. It matches the gate her father showed us. Ray turned to the team, his eyes serious. We head there at sunrise, he said. Tonight, we prepare. Tomorrow, we find the truth, outside. Far in the shadows of the snowstorm, the creature waited. It could feel the energy, feel the girl's presence, and it was not alone anymore. The morning sky was dark, painted with heavy clouds and falling snow. Captain Ray and his team packed their gear inside the outpost, preparing to leave. Their destination was the hidden gate shown in the alien father's memory, 30 miles south. Deep in the frozen valley where no human had ever gone, the girl sat quietly on a bench near the door, her silver bracelet glowing yellow. She wasn't afraid anymore. She looked calm, focused, like someone older than her small size. Ray noticed. This changed. She wasn't just a child now. She was carrying a mission. Sergeant Cole stood at the window. Still recovering from his injury, Dr. Lena checked her maps and scanners, making sure the path was clear, but not everyone in the team felt the same. In a corner of the outpost, hidden behind supply crates, someone was whispering into a communicator. His name was Private Mason. He had always followed orders, always stayed quiet. But last night, while the others slept, he made a call to someone outside the mission. A voice answered. From the other end, cold, official, human, is the alien alive? The voice asked. Yes, Mason replied, and she's carrying something valuable. We believe it's some kind of alien tech, a power source. Good, the voice said. Mark your location. We'll come and extract. Keep them busy. Then the line went silent. Mason looked over at the girl. She was watching the snow fall, her eyes soft. He clenched his fist, unsure if what he was doing was right. But the voice had promised rewards many. Protection, a future. And in his heart, Mason believed she wasn't just a child. She was a threat. The team began moving through the snow around midday. They had loaded coal onto a small sled and gave the girl her own thermal suit. Ray walked at the front, the girl beside him. Lena stayed close behind, watching the bracelet signal. Hours passed, the storm grew louder, and the cold bit deeper into their skin. But no one turned back. They knew what was coming. Wasn't just about aliens or monsters, it was about survival. And maybe something more. Near evening, The group stopped to rest inside a small ice cave. They lit a fire and warmed their hands. The girl sat with Lena, looking at the map again. "We close," she said, pointing at a glowing point on the screen. Mason sat alone at the edge of the cave, pretending to clean his weapon, but inside his pocket. He pressed a small button, sending a signal. A tracker lit up somewhere in orbit, far above the Earth. Later that night, while everyone slept, Mason walked toward the girl. She was lying under blankets, her bracelet glowing softly blue. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small metal net. Designed to block alien tech, he moved quietly, one step at a time, but before he could place the net over her, the bracelet turned red in a flash of light. A shield pulsed from the bracelet and knocked Mason backward. The girl woke up, her eyes glowing in the dark. "Why?" she asked, her voice hurt, confused. Ray jumped to his feet, gun drawn. "What's going on?" he shouted. Lena ran to the girl, checking her for injuries. Then she saw the net on the ground and the tracker in Mason's hand. "You called someone?" she said, her voice shaking. Mason didn't deny it. "They're coming," he said. "They'll take her and the tech and keep everyone safe. She's dangerous. Don't you see that?" Ray stepped forward, his jaw tight. "She's not a weapon. She's a child." Mason looked at the girl, still glowing softly in the dark. "She's not human," he said. "That's enough." Before anyone could stop him, he turned and ran. Into the snowstorm outside, Ray followed, shouting his name, but Mason was gone, vanished into the white cold. And somewhere above, a ship was coming, back inside the cave. The girl sat in Lena's arms, her head low. "He betray," she said quietly. Lena nodded. "Yes, but not all humans are like him." The girl looked up, her eyes full of sadness. "I know," she said, "but now they know where we are." Ray returned a few minutes later, shaking his head. "He's gone," he said. "And we don't have much time. The ones he called, they'll be here soon." The team packed up quickly and began the final leg of the journey. The wind was stronger, and something in the air felt heavier. The bracelet stayed red, warning of danger near. As they reached the top of a frozen ridge, the girl pointed ahead. "There," she said, below them, hidden between two icy cliffs, was a strange circular platform, metal, glowing, half buried in snow. It was the gate, just like in her father's message. Ray looked back at the trail behind them. The snow had been disturbed. Someone was following. Not Mason, but something worse. The shadow was back, and this time, it wasn't alone. The sky turned orange as the last light of day touched the frozen cliffs. The team stood at the edge of the ridge, staring down at the strange metal gate. It looked like a giant circle carved into the ice, its edges glowing with soft white light. Symbols moved slowly around its surface, like they were alive. "Captain." Ray lowered his binoculars, his face tense. "That's it," he said. The gate beside him. The alien girl stood perfectly still, her eyes locked on the structure. Her bracelet glowed bright yellow, pulsing in rhythm with the symbols. Behind them, the wind howled harder. Snow began to fall again, but it wasn't the soft kind. It was sharp and fast, like the storm had been waiting for them. Dr. Lena tightened her coat and checked her scanner. "We have maybe 10 minutes before the trackers catch up," she said. "They're moving fast." Ray looked at her. "Is it the shadow creature?" She nodded. "Not just one, multiple signals." The girl looked up at Ray, her voice calm but urgent. "If they touch the gate, they open path." Ray nodded. "Then we stop them before they get here." Sergeant Cole moved to the side, his rifle ready. His head was still bandaged, but his eyes were sharp. "No time for fear," he said. "We hold them here, or Earth becomes their next war." Ray turned to the girl. "Can you open the gate?" She nodded, slowly. "It needs light from crystal." Ray pulled the small metal box from his backpack and handed it to her. She opened it carefully, and the crystal inside lit up the snow around them. Its glow was warm and golden, unlike anything on Earth, as she held it close to the gate. The symbols began to spin faster. A low hum filled the air, growing louder. Then the gate's center shimmered, like water standing in midair. Lena gasped. "It's a portal. To where?" asked Cole. The girl whispered, "To stars." "To home," but before anyone could speak again, howled sound echoed from the cliffs behind, a sharp howl, followed by heavy footsteps crushing through snow. Everyone turned. Shadows were moving between the trees, tall, thin, with glowing red eyes. "They're here," Ray said, raising his weapon. "Positions now." The team spread out around the gate. Forming a circle, the girl stood in the center, holding the crystal close to her chest. The bracelet turned red again, warning of danger. Then came the first attack. One of the creatures lunged from the darkness. It moved like smoke, fast and twisting. Cole fired, but the bullets passed through again. Still, the creature paused when it neared the crystal's glow. Ray shouted, "Use the light." Lena picked up a reflective panel and angled it toward the girl. The beam from the crystal hit the mirror and blasted toward the creature. It screamed a loud, horrible sound and vanished into mist. But more were coming. 5, maybe 6, all around them. The team fought back with what they had, but it wasn't enough. One creature slammed into Cole, knocking him down again. Another grabbed Ray's leg, pulling him toward the trees. The girl cried out, her bracelet flashing white. She raised her hand, and a wave of energy burst out from the crystal. It pushed the creatures back, giving the team just enough time to regroup. Ray stood, blood on his face but still fighting. He looked at the girl. "Can you close the gate?" "Once it's open," she nodded. "But must go through." Ray froze. "You mean leave?" The girl looked down. "It only opens once." Lena stepped forward. "If she goes, the crystal goes with her. The creatures will lose the signal. They'll stop hunting Earth." Ray looked at the girl, his heart heavy. She had become part of their team, their mission. He had promised to protect her, and now the only way to keep that promise was to let her go. "You're sure?" he asked. She nodded. "It's time." The gate was now fully open, the portal glowing like a sun trapped in a ring. The wind stopped for a moment, as if the world was holding its breath. Then a final creature leaped toward the girl, aiming for the crystal. Cole, injured and weak, stood in its way. He fired one last shot, then dropped his rifle and tackled the creature. The two fell into the snow and vanished. The girl looked at Ray one last time. She reached out and touched his hand. "Thank you for not being afraid," she said. Then she stepped into the gate. Her small figure vanished into the light, and the portal began to collapse. Lena shouted, "The crystal, it's gone." Ray nodded. "So are they, all around them." The remaining creatures began to fade. Their red eyes flickered. Their shapes turned into mist. And then silence. Only snow remained, falling softly now, peaceful again. The gate was gone, and so was the girl. Ray dropped to one knee. Exhausted, she saved us, he whispered. Lena looked at the empty space where the portal had been. She saved more than us. The sky was quiet again. Snowflakes drifted gently from the clouds. No longer wild, no longer sharp. For the first time in days, the wind was still, and the land was at peace. Captain Ray stood alone at the place where the gate had once glowed. Now there was only a ring of melted snow and scorched ice. The ground still held the warmth of something greater, something no longer here. Behind him, Dr. Lena and Sergeant Cole sat by a small fire, resting in silence. Cole's shoulder was bandaged, his face pale, but his eyes remained strong. They had survived. But the feeling was not victory yet, was something deeper. Something quiet and heavy. The alien girl was gone. The light was gone, and yet the Earth was safe. Ray looked at the metal box that once held the crystal. It was empty now, but he still carried it like it had weight. In a way, it did. It held memory, it held her choice. She didn't run, Lena said softly. Breaking the silence, she knew the danger and chose to go. Ray nodded slowly, his eyes fixed on the horizon. She was just a child, he said, but she had more courage than most soldiers I've met. Cole stirred the fire with a stick, watching the sparks rise into the cold air. She could have stayed, he said. We would have protected her, but if she did, the creatures would have kept coming. They all understood it now. The gate was a key. The crystal was the code, and the girl was the one who carried both, her life, her memories. Her blood, it was all connected to something bigger, to another world, to another war. Hours passed, and the sun began to rise, painting gold across the icy cliffs. Lena opened her tablet and replayed the last recording from the bracelet. The father's message appeared again, his voice calm and full of sorrow. If she reaches the gate, she will have to choose, he said, to stay and live, or to leave and save. It is her choice. Ray watched the hologram fade into the cold air. She chose to save, he whispered. They began their slow walk back to the outpost. The journey was longer this time, not because of the snow, because of what they left behind. Every step was quiet, like they were walking through a memory as they moved. Ray remembered her small hand in his, her eyes glowing gently in the dark, the way she said Papa when they found her, and the way she looked back before stepping into the light. She wasn't just an alien. She wasn't just a lost child. She had become something more. Hope. 2 days later, they reached the outpost, and a rescue chopper arrived. The skies were clear, the signal was clean. Ray sent the report, but not the full story. Some truths, he thought, are better left with those who lived them, back at the base. People asked questions about the storm, the mission, the missing soldier. Ray answered what he could, but kept one part locked away. The part about the girl, the gate, and the light. Lena wrote her findings in a journal, not for the government, but for herself. She wrote about the way the bracelet responded to emotion, about the creature made of shadow and ice, and about the final choice of the girl who came from the stars. Cole returned to his family, quiet and different. He told his son bedtime stories now about a little blue girl who fought monsters with light, and a team who stood with her in the snow. As for Ray, he kept the metal box beside his bed. Every morning he opened it and touched the empty velvet inside. He didn't need the crystal to remember her. He remembered her smile, her voice, her courage. One night, months later, he stood outside under a sky full of stars. He looked up and saw a streak of light move across the sky. A soft glow, fast and quiet. Maybe a comet, maybe a ship. He smiled just a little and whispered into the night, "I hope you made it home, somewhere far beyond Earth, past the stars and silence." A small blue girl stood on a new world. Her bracelet glowed softly, but now it was gold, not red. She placed the crystal into a stone pedestal, and the sky above her opened with light. She was home, but she was not the same. She closed her eyes and saw their faces: Ray, Lena, Cole. She remembered the fire, the snow, the voices that called her friend, and she whispered to the stars, "Thank you for showing me Earth,